I'm super excited for today's podcast because I think with the Chinese New Year, right? So we're astrologically in a new year. We can definitely feel the shift. 2025 is gone and hello 2026. So you've been feeling it, I've been feeling it, everyone's feeling it. So I think today's episode on identity and shifting identities can come at a really great time for people. So yeah, this is a topic I love. I love identity, right? Because I think we all have an identity. We all have a way that we view ourselves. We have a way that others view us. But your identity and your attachments to your identity can really shape your life. And I think I want to start off by sharing a little bit of a story in my life around identity. And I think this was the first time that, I'd done identity works, identity shifts, all the quantum shifts, all the quantum jumping, all the leaping, all the upgrading. I'm a personal development and spiritual development junkie, and I have been for nearly a decade. So I've done all the things, shadow work, inner child, identity upgrades. But I think this story, I really want to share it because it just happened naturally, I think. And I think transformation, while you can have coaches and healers and supporters and facilitators hold space for you, the real transformation comes when you do the work yourself. And this experience that I'm sharing, it was a huge, I guess, anchoring of a new identity. Because I think, especially on social media, right? If you're on social media and you have a business, an online business, or if you're a coach or a healer or a facilitator, or, you're on in the online space, and a lot of people struggle because they try and be the thing that the algorithm wants to see. They try and, how do you get viral on TikTok? How do you boost your Instagram followers? How do you, it's all this vanity metrics. It's like how I went from 0 to 10,000 followers in 30 days. And, I think that I've had my own version of going what I would call viral. And to be honest, I hated it. I did not enjoy it. Anyway, the identity that we have in this online space where we're attached to who we are or who people perceive us to be. And if you really want to break it down, like there are infinite versions of you. A version of you lives in everyone, right? And some of those versions are good, some of those versions are bad, yeah, and then every other possibility in between. And I think for me, when I birthed the spiritual accountant, there was, I guess, a release of the in the matrix, conforming, compliant accountant that then broke free and wanted to teach others to break free and help others. And my intention always came from the place of helping others at its core. But it got a little messy. It got a little messy along the way because, I think this is a shadow element that I didn't realize until I realized. And that's the beauty of shadow work. It's in the shadow for a reason. It's parts of you you don't see. And the way that you can access the parts that you don't see is by what projections are coming your way. And I had brutal projections, but I was failing to see the identity I was attached to that was bringing those projections. So I was in a space of chasing, blindly chasing that vanity and marketing in a way that was really speaking to powerful pain points for people. And I was in a relationship where I feel, at the core, he was just with me because of who I was on social media. And when he saw the true Abby and the real Abby and how I live my life day to day, like it was like, oh, she's so busy. She's always, doing this or doing that. And yeah, I guess I'm not that picture perfect housewife that, I'm very multifaceted. But anyway, I got some support in my sales. And one of the things that came back were some of the feedback. Well, it was just this one day, right? So my partner was helping me with some sales, and one of his team members came in to help, and he was speaking to all my leads because I've got leads for days. It's ridiculous. But just because you got leads doesn't mean you're successful. Like attracting the mainstream, you're gonna get the mainstream, right? And I'm not for the mainstream. So he was speaking to a lot of leads and some of the feedback that was coming through, and it was one in particular was a comment, and it was like, Abby is a god. And when this feedback came to me, it like really hit me. This was a moment that really hit me. And I was like, holy shit, I don't want this. I do not want this. And I like rejected the notion that someone said that. And, over the years, I've had a lot of beautiful comments, oh, Abby, she's my tax angel, or, oh, you're just such a trailblazer and you're paving the way. And I get a lot of really beautiful compliments and reflections. But there's some in particular that just don't sit right with me because I don't want that. I'm not a god, I'm a human. And, I've even had someone say, you're like Joan of Arc. And I'm like, fuck no, she died, you know? So anyone who like, you have to go beyond the identity, right? So it's not when you get attached to these identities and it fills something inside of you, you're then just going to attract more of the energy of what that identity creates. So I realized that in people saying that I am a savior, I'm a god, I'm a tax angel, I'm a Joan of Arc and a trailblazer, that's their reflection of this savior identity. So I spent a lot of time, like this was the first time I actually felt it, on a deep level, and I rejected it. I was like, fuck no. And I don't want to be that. That's not because the people who are projecting those identities or reflecting those identities, that energy back to you, they're looking for the savior. They're looking for the Joan of Arc. They're looking for the angel. They're looking for the thing outside of themselves. I once had a friend say to me, you know, she went to a healer and she came back and she was like, "Oh my God, Abby, I can't believe it. Do you know what? I had this healing and it was so beautiful. And did you know I'm an earth angel?" And I was like, babe, yeah, I can see that. Like, you're so beautiful, you're so caring, loving, and nurturing. But then it sort of went one step further, and it was like she was the earth angel and I wasn't. And then she started naming all these people who weren't earth angels. And I was just like, hang on a second. Like, everyone is everything. If you look at unity consciousness, everyone is everything. It's just access. And when you start that comparison or you start that judgment, whether it's positive or negative, it has an effect. It has an effect. So what I could learn, right, is, when this identity came up and then I had this realization that not everything that I was doing, let me be clear, the intentionality behind my work has always remained the same. But it's like somewhere along the line, I got addicted or my ego was attached to an identity that was actually creating more chaos than peace or more problems for me rather than, the life I actually want to live. So, I'm very, I've been, through all of the truther groups as well. And, my name is known amongst multiple groups. And even through that space, having the positive and the negative, there's people that support me in what I do, and there's people that criticize me in what I do. And all of it is welcome. One of the other things that was said to me during this time of this realization of my identity was that you have to be willing for half the room to love you and half the room to hate you. And at the end of it, it's like, you can't have one or the other. So, in the identity of this, say, martyr complex, for vanity metrics, for likes, for views, for attention, for sales, for whatever you want to call it, I had these undertones of this martyrdom energy and wanting the whole room to love me, just wanting the whole room. So you go into this like convincing the naysayers, or you go into this like defense of who you are and what you stand for. So I was on the defense. And when you start defending your identities, when you start defending your truth, defending yourself, it means you've got something to prove. So it's been such a wild ride. But it's all come back to this martyr complex of like being a savior or wanting to save the world or wanting to help the world. And yes, that is the core intention of all of the work that I do, but I release that identity of martyrdom, of needing to save a single soul, because when you're in that and you're making decisions for that, you're attracting that. And I've had the vanity metrics and I've had the viral TikToks, and I can guarantee you that 99.99% of people want to be saved. So identity, I feel, is a very interesting one because we have different layers of identity. We're so multifaceted humans. So we have the emotional layer, right? Then we have the behavioral layer and we have the energetic layer, right? And they're all interconnected because when you attach yourself to an identity, right, that's an energy. That's a frequency that you bring through. This is why, I'll always look at people who are in certainty of their power, certainty of who they are. It's like magnetic, right? You can tell someone online who's just bold and they just speak their truth. They don't care who agrees or who doesn't agree. You're going to have both, right? But when you're in that energetic frequency of your true identity, the truth of who you are, not who you want to be, not who you hope to be, not how you are to others, like just who you are, like it can be very compelling. And it doesn't even matter energetically, it doesn't even matter what you're saying, it just cuts through noise. But it attracts both positive and negative because that's the frequency of that identity. And this is why people, they say it's marketing tactics. But if you look at viral TikToks or viral, Instagram reels, it's not because anyone's trying to be anything other. It's just this energy that flows naturally, right? And that energy has energy emotion. It has an emotion that's attached to it, and that emotion also is the frequency. And that's truth. And I think truth can be the highest vibration when you're in the truth of who you are, and when you're the truth of your entire like genetic makeup, your physical makeup, your energetic makeup, your just every part of who you are in every moment, like that is unfuckwithable. Doesn't mean people won't try and tear it down, or doesn't mean people won't question it or won't pull it apart, but who cares? It's your truth. So then, when you are energetically aligned and emotionally aligned to your truth, you're not uncertain, self-doubt, lacking in confidence, that exudes an energy and it's positive. And it's that energy that then ripples and creates positive impact in others. It's the permission piece, right? Oh my God, if Abby Rose can say that or do that, then I can too. And then that's when you get this is how another identity. That's when people go, oh my God, I want to do what Abby's doing. I want to say what Abby's saying. And they copy it and they say it and they do it. And I love that. Go you. Like, honestly, they say copying is the highest form of flattery. Absolutely. But I understand why they want to do it. And I have absolutely no, like, copy my stuff. Fuck. It just means that my message is getting out. But then find your own flavor because it's going to land and it's going to hit differently for everyone. And if you start copying someone, use that as inspiration to find who you are and then run with yourself. Use it. Use it as a tool for your own growth. The problem with that copying is if you keep copying, you're going to dilute your energy, you're going to dilute your message, and then you're always going to be relying and responsible of someone outside of yourself for that. And there's going to be a point where you need to find the truth of who you are. Then, the behavior, right? So this is your behavior. So when you have attachments to energy, emotion, and behavior of different identities, they play out different ways. Now, our human brain loves to attach to these identities, but what's driving the show, right? What's driving the bus of your life, for your business, for your family, for your relationships? What identities, patterns, and programs? And they can be seen or unseen. So for me, it was the martyr, right? It's the martyr, savior, people pleaser, wanting everyone to love me. Everyone just wants love. Everyone does. So no one's immune to these things, but I just want to normalize it and be like, there's gold. There is so much gold for you in this when you can just meet the part of yourself that was like, holy shit. Because that was my holy shit moment when that feedback came and I was like, uh-uh. Because everyone wants to be the one. Everyone wants to be the one who saves, be the one who fixes the world, be the one who, and we have to realize that there's no one person. It's collective. We all have roles to play. We all have pieces of the pie. We all have a seat at the table, and we all have our unique blueprint of how we express that. So it's a beautiful time with the Chinese New Year. We're entering the year of the fire horse. These identity shifts energetically are happening or have happened. So it's a really beautiful time to ask yourself, who am I really? Who do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? What business do I want to have? What energy do I want to exude? Because I think it's a really great time where we release all of those behaviors that were at the sake of others. And that's what we're stepping into. And we step into, well, it's not at the sake of ourselves, forgetting all others, right? And this is, I think, when you step into sovereign autonomy, it's like you're the queen of your queendom, or the king of your kingdom. And when you're sovereign in your life, it means you make decisions that are not just good for you, right? So a true sovereign, yes, like a lot of people pendulum swing and it's like if it doesn't feel good for themselves or if it doesn't benefit them, they won't do it. And then they say, oh, spirit told me, or there's some sort of bypassing phrase. And it's like actually a true sovereign can take themselves out of their human experience and see what it is for the good of themselves, for the good of their loved ones or their communities, and then for the good of all. And those decisions are really different because when I realized that I was being perceived this way, I was making decisions and serving people that wasn't actually good for them because it wasn't giving them the tools and the resources and the skills that they actually needed. It was just like, come to me and I'll help you. But they then just carry all that same baggage into a new space. And instead of outsourcing their financial decisions to, bankers, financial planners, accountants, professionals, they've just replaced it with me. And I'm like, this is not sovereignty. This is not autonomy. If you keep going to another source for answers, I mean, yes, education is great, learning new skills, learning new things is great, of course, but there's got to be a time where you spread your wings and you fly and you run with it and you do, and you like this codependency relationship that people have on others for their financial well-being is just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. But I was part of the problem too. Because I was like, come over here and I'll save all your problems. No, 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 no. You do. So we might have these identities running and you might see them or you might not see them. But I guarantee there is a result in your life that is happening right now that is because of this identity. And it could be positive, it could be negative, and it doesn't matter. You have access to anything and everything, and you can use identity. So it's like when I would do shamanic healing, right? And people love labels, right? I don't look at the identity, I look at the energy that identity is bringing into the here and now, and then how that relates in life, right? So we actually release attachment to identity. We release the need to be uh, Isis, right? We release the need to be Jesus. We release the need to be, all these different deities that have existed over time because the truth is we are all of it. But what energy from that identity is in your life presently? And how is that playing out? And what is the truth of who are you? What do you believe? What do you value? How do you behave? Everyone will have, different answers, but it comes with the questions, right? And the ability to move past these identities is in the power of asking yourself these questions to begin with. And a lot of people are afraid to ask these questions, or they'll ask the question, but they'll just give like a surface level answer, or they'll just move on to the next thing and it doesn't matter. Well, it does because what you're experiencing in your life, in your business right now, is the byproduct of these energetic patterns that are coming through these identities. So when I sit with people in my immersions, we're really connecting to truth. Like what wants to be here on earth through you. You're the conduit for it. And those solutions are part of your identity. And it doesn't mean that everyone's here for grand gestures, myself included. but we're all here to create some ripple that together, all those ripples create a massive tidal wave. It all matters, big or small. So you can find a little sweet spot for you, what feels comfortable, what feels edgy, because we've got to look at the light and dark of these identities. So the light side of the identity that I was shifting was you know, Abby's a savior, Abby's a God. And that's a positive thing, right? Or a negative. You can, if there's a shadow and a light, right? But then there's the flip side of that. And it's like, when you're attached to the identity of martyrdom, you get triggered by people who discredit your work, right? So when you want so badly to be a savior, anyone who says otherwise, there's like an emotional charge or an emotional response. And that is what tells you that there's work here to be done, right? So if you get emotionally charged or triggered by people condemning you, then there's a part of you that wants to be the savior. If you get emotionally charged or triggered in comparison and judgment, then there absolutely is an identity there, an identity shift. Because when you know who you are and you're connected to the power of who you are, either end of the spectrum doesn't matter because this is balance. Truth in who you are is the balance between the light and the dark. We're not overinflating our ego for vanity and we're not underinflating our ego for acceptance. That's the journey. I've always shared like the journey, the evolution of the soul, right? There's overinflated egos, right? That just want that validation. And then there's the underinflated ego that just wants that acceptance as well. You know, they're both opposite ends of the same spectrum. And no one is good or bad, right or wrong. It's just, I used to think that, this is funny. I used to think that I was the underinflated ego, right? So through my childhood and teen years and into my adulthood, it was all about standing up for myself, getting a voice, finding no one ever listening, everyone judging me and me people pleasing. And I pigeonholed myself in that underinflated ego. But we all pendulum swing, right? We all have all of it in us. And it's like we go to this point of when we've people pleased our whole life, and we find that power for the first time, we like grab onto it and we attach to it and we're like, holy shit, I've got this power. And then we actually tip the opposite end into the overinflated ego, right? And then that's when you start putting in your boundaries and making you, and you say, because you've had a whole life of no boundaries or a whole life of people pleasing. So now you can, so you will. And it kind of goes the opposite end and we kind of pendulum swing. And I can see in my journey, I did exactly that. When you pendulum swing into the overinflated ego, that's where you get like, she's selfish, she's narcissist, she's this, she's manipulative, she's blah, 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 all those dark femme traits, right? And then you just sort of go, oh, fuck, I gotta humble here a little bit. That's exactly what happened. I had a huge humbling experience. I did choose it. I didn't consciously choose it, but it was required. Here's the thing. It's required. When you're attached to the identity of you're saving people, or they can't save themselves without you, or you're the one, everyone wants to be the one. You're just asking for trouble. You're asking for God to come down and bitch slap you. It can be in a gentle way or it can be in a completely diabolical way. Like choose your way. Me, I apparently my soul came to this planet to do things the hard way. But the gift is not in the way. Like, yeah, everything's been hard. Like, it has not been easy. I've lost so much. Like, I've lost so much externally. I've lost so much internally. I've lost time. I've lost precious years with my children worrying about ridiculous things. I've lost, but then I've gained as well, right? So I've gained myself, my power, my voice, my passion. I've gained my team, my people, my community. Like you can't, it's just part of the journey, right? But that journey at the end of the day is to truth. And it's the truth of who you are and what you're here for and what you were born to do. I'll finish with this, and it's what I say in my immersions. The most important day of your life was the day that you were born. The second most important day of your life is the day that you learned why. And I'm here to help you uncover and activate that why and all the identities attached to that why. It makes me a little bit teary, to be honest. Like, it actually makes me a little bit teary because it hasn't been easy. You've seen it firsthand. Other people have seen it firsthand. People come, people go. Like, you feel so alone when you're literally like, when life is just eroding away and these identities are just like melting, crippling, crumbling. Like it's visceral. And there's pain and there's fear and and I feel like for the ego to die. So I think people are just so attached to that ego or that identity and what it means for you, who it means you are, or how you benefit from that, and letting it go is hard, or it's like it hurts and it's scary and it's uncomfortable and you don't know what's on the other side and you don't know if you're going to be okay and you don't know who's going to be around and no one's coming to save you. No one is. You've got to dig deep and get it yourself. You've got to get it. And the only thing I will tell you after everything that's been thrown at me, everything, I have found solace, peace, love, and acceptance when I've connected internally to who I am, right? So it's like you have to shut the noise. You have to shut the noise out because everyone will have a reflection of you to mirror back. Everyone will have a projection of you, of their unhealed shit. Like, you have to shut the noise out because if you listen to any of that and then behave because of it, you're just going to keep getting the same shit. You have to go in, and going in is a dark, scary place, and it's lonely, and it's sad, and it's fearful. But then once you break through that and find the gold and find the love and find the passion that has been there all along, it's just been layered with all of these other things. Like, when you connect to that and find that power, that's what makes you unwavering. That's what makes you unwavering. So I invite, the people that aren't ready to go through that door because they're afraid of the darkness that they may face, or they're afraid of what they might have to see, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you've got to face off with it. And the only way is going through it, right? So when you're afraid of that, it's like, what are you actually afraid of? Oh, yeah, because this is attached to the martyr, right? So this is the thing, right? The people who are afraid of the judgment, the people who are afraid of the criticism, they're afraid of being crucified, right? So they don't step through that threshold because they want to play safe. They don't want to. I'll tell you, I didn't fucking play it safe and I got crucified and I'm paying for that. But thank you, because that was me walking through that threshold and I've come out the other side. I know who I am. I know my power. No one's going to stop me ever. So that's the gift. The crucifixion is the threshold to walk through. Be ready to die. Let go of those egos, let go of those identities. Like, it's painful, but it's worth it. Because I 100% know, like, the life that I live today, it still has its ups and downs. It still has its ups and downs. But there's just that solid knowing. And I also just would not wish my experience on anybody, not even my worst enemy. Not even. I would never, ever, ever want to intentionally ever put anyone through what I've been through. It is absolutely horrible, but also it's been my greatest gift. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that that's happened and I've gone through it and I've learned and I've anchored deeper into my truth.